What's good, yo? My name is Rorvis Paradox, aka Dox Brando, and I'd like to welcome you all to another installment of Rorvis Reviews. I've been holding back from talking about this film for far too long. It's the halfway point of the year, so now I feel like I'm justified in talking about Dune Part 2. I'll be doing a little recap of the first film, then going into detail, all about Dune Part 2, even some spoiler stuff. But even though it's been a while since the movie came out, I'll still give a spoiler warning. You will know when it's I'm about to talk about it, so don't be alarmed. It'll kind of be just like I did They Clone Tyrone. Also, we've hit 100 subscribers, so let's go, Doxaholics. But the job is not finished. That's what Kobe said, and I live by that mentality. So 500 subscribers is still to go. So share with everyone, like, comment, and make sure you follow at DocsBrando25 on IG to stay up to date. All that being said, let's get into it. Now, of course, the film that I said I'll be talking about is 2024's Dune Part 2, directed by Denis Villeneuve. Um, Before I get too far into talking about Part 2, let's recap about what happened in Part 1, right? So, if y'all have a slight memory loss or maybe have not seen Part 1, slight spoiler, but like it basically everything I'm saying is already like right at the beginning of Part 2. But the House of Atreides, where Paul comes from. Well, let me restart. Paul Atreides is our main protagonist, and this is his journey into learning about the different politics that's going on, as well as learning about the Furman and learning about his own identity and what could be his destiny. But that's a tricky subject that we'll get into further along as we talk about the film. Now, in part one, we see the House of Atreides get exterminated. We see his father killed, people slain, all the warriors, everything. The only ones that are still alive that we know of is Paul and his mother Jessica. Now, we find out that his mother is pregnant with his sister, so that's already interesting. So basically, she's not showing yet, so it's about 2.5, maybe I would say 3 left from the House of Atreides that we know of, and now they're exiled, but they've been blessed to be able to start linking up with the Furman, and now it's up to him to live up to what his mother has been telling him of his destiny of becoming the Messiah, the Lesser Agaib, Mahdi, um, all this other all the different ways to say Messiah, like this godlike being to these people. And that's where we're left off in part one. Now, part two begins with the little recap, as well as, them still on their way to the main area where the Furman live. So they're still trying to overcome that and that little destination. Then they get into a little skirmish. Oh wait, no, let me stop. I need to stop because I need to put up the spoiler warning. Sorry, almost went a little too far. So right now, at this moment, this is your spoiler warning. I will literally put everything up. I will put it in the notes section, like around this point. This is where the spoilers happen. So if you stay, you don't care about the spoiler. All right? And y'all still here? Cool. So we're gonna get into the spoilers now. Of the retelling of the film, like I said, Harkonnens come in and they're looking for any Furman of any kind, and just to eradicate them. But the Furman are really smart, so they're able to just kind of trap the Harkonnens into a point where they can just kind of just take them out one by one and just eviscerating these Harkonnens. Then this leads to Paul getting a chance to display his fighting prowess with battling some Harkonnens, and even his mother gets involved to protecting his back in a situation as well. And this is where we see more really a little back and forth between him and Shawnee, played by Zendaya. And you could tell there's something there where she has some interest in Paul, but she's still an outsider, so she doesn't really know. But as she tells one of the other Fremen, he's sincere about who his interests and his want to help them and learn their culture, which I find very interesting. Um, then we get into the point where Raban, played by Dave Bautista, has been put in charge by Vladimir to take over the planet and get spice production back up and running. And the Furman are being very strategic in making sure that doesn't happen. So Raban's being mad and being the disappointment of Vladimir. While this is going on, we're seeing slowly that the Furman are accepting of Paul. He's earning their respect. He joins their warrior group, and after a particular battle, gets his warrior name from them. Really showing that he's being accepted by the tribe, by the group, and his name becomes Paul Usu Madib, and Madib is the name for the little desert mouse that we've seen both in part one and in part two. That the character Stilgar says that it's a very wise name to choose based off of the characteristics of the mouse. So Stilgar, who's already very super religious and a firm believer of the prophecy that deals with Madib, Liza Agaib, um, is champion for Paul, this whole time. And that's where a lot of the main battle comes from within the film, is that there's those who believe wholeheartedly, and this a lot of people that come from areas of the south of Arrakis, compared to the people more in the north who are kind of hesitant to believe something that was brought here by the Bene Gesserit, this religion that was force fed, and now the so-called signs that are being shown to the believers, they're thinking like this is true, this is everything. But in Paul's case, he doesn't want to be the Lisagi. He doesn't want to be the Messiah, because he feels that it's something that wasn't, it's artificial, it's not authentic, and he wants to help the Furman free themselves. To he doesn't want to take charge at this point. And this is where I find it very interesting with the idea of chosen one archetypes, but it's very different for the case of Paul, because like I was saying earlier, it's one thing where there's history, everything's created, and it's under the guise of like people way back when, and it's another when it was crafted by this group of women that continue to go off to have offsprings, to control bloodlines, to control people in higher power, all these things and that, with this story, this religion that they created, so they could be the ones to be like, yeah, we know when he's here, we know the control, all this and that. And it doesn't help that his mom is continually to push him in that area. And speaking of his mom, Lady Jessica, after Stilgar tells her, hey, you have to become one of our elders, or we'll kill you, and it's up for Paul. So after ingesting the water of life, which is as some of the Furmen say, worm piss, she gets her eyes become blue, like it's been like just coated in spice, and her character kind of just switches. And it's kind of insane to watch, because before, she's more calm and collective, very calculated, and tries her best to keep Paul calm down. As soon as she ingests the water of life and becomes the elder, she is bonkers, bro. Like, she's literally pushing Paul, hey, I need you, if you drink this, you will become the Lisa Gaib, you will become the what you're destined to be. And she's really pushing this on him, and then she's saying, I can hear your sister talking to me, and she believes in you, and she wants you to rise up and be who you're meant to be. And now he's arguing with like two people. It's 2 on 1. Like, this is not fair for Paul to be hearing this. And as this is going on, he's building this relationship with Shawnee, and really earning her trust and her faith, her loyalty. And she wants him to be him, and he promised that he wouldn't go mad with power, try to get control. He's really scared. He's been having visions, these nightmares of, like, if he takes control, it could be the end of everything. Like, he can cause countless death across the whole galaxy. And that's a lot for a young fella to have on his plate. But when you have his own flesh and blood literally just egging him on, it's a lot. And he's really just focused on trying to become one of the Furmen. He wants their trust, he wants their loyalty, he wants their faith, and not in the same faith as religious wise, but like he wants their belief because he wants to help them. He doesn't want to be in charge. He really doesn't. He just wants to be able to push them forward as a people, for they can get their planet back and for everything to be prosperous for them. But he has a whole bunch of things that are really counteracting that, and it's going to lead him to have to choose what destiny he's going to have to take. Then all of this is going on. The mother of Bene Gesserit, like the leader of the Bene Gesserit, he realizes that Paul and Jessica are still alive. So now she goes into plan B. This film has a lot of great quotes, but that quote where, the Bene Gesserit we don't hope, we plan. So her plan is to bring in Valdemir's younger nephew, Rotha, who's psychotic and brutal, but she wants to bring him in to take down Paul if possible. So now we get introduced to Rotha, and man, shout out to Austin Butler, because his performance in this very limited, but was able to do a lot with his time. And off rip, we could tell that he's someone not to be fucked with, obviously. So Rotha's introduction and a great fight scene to show off his strength leads to a situation where the Bene Gesserit, someone from the Bene Gesserit catches him, makes him do the same test that Paul went through to pick his brain to figure out where he stands, and takes his seed to take the bloodline. That's what they do. I'm not even about to kid you on it. Now, with that going on, Valdemir has said Rabba has failed. I sent him to go handle it. He can't handle it. Rabba has been, the last time we seen Rabba, he's running away from Paul and the Fremen, like terrified. And this is such a switch from the Rabba we see in the first film, where he's just ruthless, brutal. He was walking around like he's the man. He is not. He was tail between legs. So now Rotha is getting pushed in to take control of Arrakis. And the way they show that Rotha is not to be played with is he makes Rabba submit at the split of a hat. It's insane how quickly he was able to turn the tables on Rabba. And now he's over here destroying everything, causing chaos, and it leads to Paul have to make the decision to drink the water of life, which almost kills him, but he survives because of his mother forcing Shawnee to wipe a single tear from her face and rub his lips. He awakens. Shawnee's mad at him for doing what he said he wouldn't do, and now Paul comes to the south, which he's been trying to avoid, and this is where he becomes one of the coldest fucking main characters of all time. He walks in brash, like this is a whole new Paul. He said he started calling them out, talking shit, like, we can't go by old ways, we gotta switch it up if we're gonna move forward. And then he proves to them that he is the Lisagayi by drinking the water of life. He can before he already can have some visions, but now he can see past, present, and future, and like different possibilities. And the way he proved himself, he told the past of a random friend. He just looks in the eye and said, I know exactly who your grandmother was, how she got the scar, and I know what the planet's name was during her time. Yeah. Everybody falls to their knees. This guy, this guy, going absolutely crazy. And this is, he says, hey, we're doing this for the House of Atreides and the Furman. We're gonna take everything down and we're gonna get everything right. So he continues his plan, declares, sends a message out to the Emperor. Emperor comes down. All hell's breaking loose. We get to see the greatest battle beast make his appearance again, the Shahadu, the worms. Yes, the sandworms. They're better than dragons. Hate to tell you, when they whipping them around and when they're just able to just like take out whole armies, it's the coolest thing I've seen on cinema, bar none. I'll say that. So this leads to an epic battle between Ratha and Paul. Paul takes care of business, ends the life of Ratha, which leads to him taking the hand of the Emperor's daughter, for he can take control of power, take the throne, everything, and doing everything he said he wouldn't do, but he's doing it because he feels he has no choice. And it's kind of sucks for him because he really does care for Shani, and it's just like a whole bad situation. But that's where the film leaves off, basically with Shani running off, calling Shahadu for she can escape and go somewhere in Arrakis and be in her peace and sulk that her man flipped on her. Now I'm going to get into the highlights, but I do have something towards the end that I do think y'all find interesting. But now, number one, for the highlights, I have to say again that the world building from Dennis with Dune is phenomenal. It's just impeccable. It's just like the foundation that he did set in part one. I know I said in an early Rorvis review of Dune Part One that I didn't feel like he set up Part Two as well as he could, and honestly, I still kind of feel that way. But the foundation that he laid, like what is able to grow from there, I respect wholeheartedly, and it is shown in Part Two to such a great extent, like being able to learn the lore of the Furman and really getting depth into their culture, to see the homeworld of the Harkonnen, Getty Prime, and see its black sun, see it had these weirdos, everyone's bald with no eyebrows, and these bald weirdos celebrate with inky fireworks. Like everything is crazy and flipped over there, and everything just fits so well. And I just, again, enamored just by seeing everything grow. So like, I can't wait for Doom Messiah because I want to see what else we're missing out on, because we've only seen about 2-3 planets in 2 movies. Let's see what else we can get into. The most important highlight that I have to say is obviously the cast. The cast shines once again in Part Two. Starting off with, I don't want to start off with Timothy Chalamet. That's too easy. Let's get into Austin Butler, because I was saying it earlier, but I really do think Austin Butler brought a lot to Ratha in such a limited time. He's not on camera for that many scenes. Like, I think maybe 1/4 of the movie in between, like this 2-hour film, he's in it, and he makes every second count, even when he's not even speaking. Like when he kind of steps up to to fight Paul, you can just kind of see him in the foreground, kind of blurry, but he's just, his presence, his aura is right there. Greatness from that young man. Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica, insane performance. Like the switch in mentality and psyche was at the drop of a hat, and she went full force. Like, it was great to see it. And when she looks crazy talking to her belly because she's having this conversation with her daughter who's still in the womb like a little fetus, everything about that great. Zendaya as Shani, phenomenal. This is probably my favorite performance from her in both films. Well, more in this film than that Part One, but I liked how she's able to like really be rebellious, but also comforting. Like all these different emotions she was able to portray well, and the chemistry that she had with Timothy Chalamet as Paul all that just worked well together. It was great seeing them work together on camera. Um, Another one is Javier Bardem as Stilgar. He has moments in this film where it's not meant to be funny, but like the way he says certain phrases like can make a whole I was in theaters, the whole room laughed. It was just amazing to see. And he has right now he's walking around as a meme at towards the end, Lisa Gaib, just like he just snapped into it. Like his performance in this is great, and I've seen his other work. So Javier did a great job as Stilgar. Easy, I don't have to say anything else. um Baron Valdemar kind of took a played by Stellan Skarsgård, kind of took a step back just a tad bit because it was more about putting forth Ratha, but he's still imposing in this film. He got more shine in part one, obviously, we all know that, but he did take a little step back. But I still enjoyed Skarsgård as Valdemar. Um, Last but not least, we have to talk about Timothy Chalamet as Paul Atreides. Um, Timothy, this young goat in the making, has already. He really is just Paul Atreides. I don't think that I can imagine anyone else taking up this role. His way of just speaking, just being sincere, kind of being stoic, and trying to like really say that I don't want to do this, but being kind of just like pushed into it, like the disdain he's feeling, and like kind of just like he's kind of brooding about it towards the end. And it's just like he's just doing everything he can to help them as best he can, and even if it's going against what he wants to do, he's still doing it. So I think his performance in this film is, he's carrying a lot of this film on his back. This is his story, and he knows it, and he's carrying that responsibility like a champion. So salute to Timothy. The last highlight that I have to speak on, actually no, I got a few more. Number one, Hans Zimmerman is back as composer, and he may be my favorite composer of all time right now. Or at least right now, because the score is so amazing. Like Paul's Dream is one of my favorite themes for a character of all time. Like anytime I hear just a little bit of it, I start floating in the air and I can't control myself. Like it's just phenomenal work from Hans. And then the Harkonnen Arena theme, which is also Rotha's theme, is so imposing and threatening, and all these negative emotions that you feel anxious because you don't know what's gonna happen, but this brute could do anything at any time. Um, this The last highlight I will speak about is the cinematography is superb. Like when I got to see it in that special theater, it felt like the spice was hitting me in my face. Like I really thought my eyes was gonna turn blue after I walked out. Um, the fight choreography as well. Oh, I said I was gonna do the last thing. This is the last thing. The fight choreography is 100 times better than part one. We really got to see a lot of things excel. Like I remember the character not John, Duncan Idaho, played by Jason Momoa, said that the Furmen fight like demons. And in part two, we get to see that live and in action. It's like watching Assassin's Creed plus like any assassin type, ninja type shit you ever seen. That's how they move in this sand. Like it's crazy to watch. It was phenomenal work. I need to find out who did the fight choreography because I want to see his other works because this shit was fucking brilliant. With all that being said, I'll easily give Dune Part 2 5 stars off rip. Phenomenal piece of work right here. And I've already watched it about 3 times now. Probably gonna watch it again. I don't know where it ranks amongst my favorite movies of all time. It's gonna take some time to get up the list because a lot of things have been there for a while. But I wholeheartedly enjoyed this film. Now, what I do want to get into, not real quick, but I want to talk about is a topic that a friend of mine, shout out to Mingo, brought up to me because he wanted me to check out Dune and The Matrix because he saw something there to talk about, and he's not wrong. And it's the idea of the chosen one, right? And what's so interesting about both films, even though they're so different, the chosen one character for these both of these films are artificial. They're not truly made. Like in the case of Neo, he is the chosen one, but he's an anomaly in the matrix that's been planned for and happens over and over and over. So they plan for it to happen for the matrix can reset and get back to normal. And then in the case of Paul, a group of space witches created a religion so that they can be in power and impose who could possibly be the quote unquote chosen one in their favor. It's insane to think about that, all the things that they're supposed to happen for Neo and for Paul to show that they're the chosen one for these people that champion them. It's all being calculated, and it's kind of messed up to see. Um, but that's just a thought that I had. Um, but now I have to ask, what did y'all think of Doom Part 2? Is it a 5-star classic, like instant classic, like a lot of people are saying? Did it have its issues that you didn't really like? Um, do you enjoy the score? Like, what's your favorite theme? Please, all these type of things, let me know in the comments below about what are your thoughts of Doom Part 2. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you telling folks about the channel. Share the channel with everybody that you think will enjoy this type of content. 500 subscribers is still the goal. We are 1/5 of the way there. Let's keep going. We're halfway there. We were at 8 subscribers when I started in February. We're at 101 right now. Let's keep it going. This has been Rorvis Paradox, aka Docs Brando, with the Rorvis reviews, and I'll see you again next week. Peace.